Hello and welcome back to Join Dota League number 5, excuse me. Division 2 of the American side. Oh my goodness, I'm completely stumbling over my words. This is game 2 of the Business Gaming versus Next Level Badasses. I'm Granite Fiend. Once again, I'll be joined by Mike Loris.
Hey man, English is too hard, but sometimes you just don't need English because the game kind of speaks for itself. And I'm pretty sure that was the case in the last game where the business just absolutely destroyed Next Level Badasses. They wrecked them. I don't even know what other words I can use to describe that, but Next Level Badasses pretty much got nothing the entire game. And that's not really a good way to play this game. But to be fair, that was because, in part, because they had no reserve time. I'm going to hope that this game, then they have more than 30 seconds to make each pick. They will have a draft that is able to contest that of business gaming.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as well. It really felt like Next Level Badasses just kind of set themselves up for failure. All of their lanes were questionable at best. They got a decent amount out of the Bristleback lane, but that was pretty much it. Shadowfiend versus Viper can't really bank it on it. Although they got farm on the Dusa, you can't really transition that immediately, especially up against what the business gaming were bringing to the table, and it was scary too. The Axe is going to be banned out in the first stage, as is the Bristleback, and I definitely think it's deserved. But that will leave the Powerhouse Vengeful Spirit in the pool, and Next Level Badasses will get their hands on her.
Dude, these bands are just so flavor of the month right now. You would probably not see these bands. I want to say you won't want to see, you're not going to see these bands in like 3 or 4 months, but of course I won't be sure. Maybe these heroes are here to stay, but either way, we have flavor of the month in full swing right now, and Venge, you said, going to be a perfectly reasonable pick from the Next Level Badasses. It's a great way to start, and it's not really a hero that requires much time to think about. Like, you see a Venge Spirit available in the pool, you're probably going to pick it up with very few questions asked.
Yeah, definitely so. For the business gaming, we'll have to see what they're going to snag. The Omni Knight's available in the pool if they want to stick with what they got last game, but it'll be interesting to see what their opener is. Up against Eventual Spirit, however, it's not really unexpected or anything of this sort. I think they'll probably stick with something pretty comfortable.
Yeah, so judging off of the picks of the last stage, I mean, they can grab an Omni early if they really want to. It should be supports that take the priority, just because supports are kind of in high demand nowadays, and they always have been, to be fair. But grabbing something like a Lion right off the bat, you probably can't go wrong with, although Next Level Badasses just got destroyed after using the hero. A very safe hero pick, such as that of a Viper or something like that, could also work very well for the business gaming. But man, they're taking their sweet time for this first pick. They definitely don't know which direction they want to go. Brewmaster is fine, but these are all possibilities that so far they're not exploring yet.
Alrighty then, it's going to be a Lion first pick for the business gaming, and we'll have to see if it's going to be used by them any more effectively than Next Level Badasses. Although a support that's really solid in its own right, offering a lot of CC and an ultimate that's really not paralleled by anything immediately once you get it, it does take a little bit of working around to actually make him actually fulfill his role. He wants to be working immediately as soon as he gets that Finger of Death ready every time to secure an easy kill. They'll follow up the line with a Wind Ranger for themselves, and in the right hands can be a very potent threat.
So yeah, usually grabbing the Wind Ranger is not really something teams want to do until they know or have a good inkling about what their mid lane matchup is going to be. Wind Ranger versus any hero is usually going to be fine, but you don't really want to bank on fine lane assignments. You want to have really good lane assignments. So this is a chance potentially for Next Level Badasses to punish Wind Ranger. They already have a Vengeful Spirit, so rotations are going to be a sizable threat. But after what we saw last game, Business Game are going to feel pretty comfortable, so they're probably going to be playing this a little bit more into their wheelhouse. Wind Ranger, clearly a hero that you pick up this early, only if you're comfortable with her, though.
Definitely so. Next Level Badasses, they are going to start eating into their reserve time, and we'll have to see what they're going to snag up for themselves. Lion and Wind Ranger, really not heroes that necessitate anything in particular, and they'll go for a Centaur Warner and a pretty solid opener from Next Level Badasses.
Yeah, it's reasonable. You got double stuns, and the stuns are a lot easier to land than that stun of the business gaming. The shackle shot, which has no guarantee, you're probably going to land a blink hoof stomp unless you really, really mess up, and let's just hope that doesn't happen from Next Level Badasses. So both sides have very solid openings. Just one support hero apiece, one core hero, lots of stunning action. Centaur, a reasonable answer to that Wind Ranger, just because you can chase after her with Stampede. Not really going to be the hardest counter as Centaur versus Brewmaster usually is going to be, but this is a decent way to open for Next Level Badasses. And if they really wanted to, the business gaming, they really will be dissuaded from that Brewmaster right now.
Yeah, definitely so, especially with the threat of like a Scarith Mage or another instant disable that they could throw into the mix, making it really easy to chainstone down before he's able to get his ultimate off. Next Level Badasses will again ban out the Tide Hunter. It's still ambiguous where they're going to lane this Wind Ranger, but I think for now it's pretty safe to assume it's going to be getting some amount of core farm, probably mid.
Yeah, I think most of the time you could assume Wind Ranger is going to be mid unless there's something that really forces her out of that lane. I don't really think there are any mid lane matchups that are so terrible that you're suddenly off the Wind Ranger plan mid completely. So you could expect that, although support Wind Ranger, offlane Wind Ranger, these are also ways to go. And maybe you want to match the Wind Ranger versus the Centaur War Runner. That's a pretty good lane for her.
Yeah, it definitely could be. We'll just have to see how it shakes down for either side. It's going to be a Drill Ranger band coming out from the business gaming, and interestingly enough, too, it probably could have fit into their side as well if they really wanted to snag it in. But Vengeful Spirit Centaur Warner, although not a lineup that necessitates something like a Drill Ranger, and it definitely a solid opening for a Drill Ranger lineup. Just pick up the Drill Visage next. It's going to be a Ricky band from Next Level Badasses. A lot of respect coming out from this band, although he's somebody that I'd like to see played a lot more, not something that's standard.
Yeah, so we have a Slark band that's a little bit more ordinary just because it is such a pain in the ass to deal with. They already have Lion Wind Ranger. They're fine to deal with him if they really had to, but you don't really want to if you can't avoid it. So got a little bit of peculiar bands that Ricky and that Drow Ranger. You said Drow Ranger would be really good with the business gaming right now, but I guess Vengeful Spirit, Drow Ranger, Visage, also potent threat. So from where do business gaming go now? Because they have really just lanes to flesh out, and it seems like it's going to be mostly whatever they're comfortable with that are going to be taking priority spots.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll have to see what that comfort hero is going to be for the business gaming. It's going to be an H apparition. Snap picked up. Again, we're going to see three ranged heroes with the AA can be very potent, especially with the Wind Ranger. Although I'm not sure that they're going to be laned together, can be very scary. Ogre Magi going to pick up for next level badasses and a return after quite a long time of not really being picked up all that much. Ogre Magi still, in my eyes, a pretty potent support.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredibly tanky along with Centaur War Runner. That's a lot of beef to get through if you're the business gaming. So they have to deal with a lot of health. They have to deal with a lot of magical bursts from next level badasses, a lot of it. Plus a good amount of kind of utility-ish spells in the Stampede and that Bloodlust, not to mention the Vengeful Spirit minus Armor Swing and the plus damage. So next level badasses, they have a very, I want to say, old opening to their draft. I mean, you used to see this a couple months ago, but it's still a very reasonable way to go. They can pick up any carry hero right now and they'll be fine. They should a mid hero and they're going to be golden. But now Viper picked up for the business gaming. Maybe it's an aggressive tri-lane for them. And as far as aggressive tri-lanes go, you can just pick three of these heroes, pick three, any three, and it's going to be a really good defensive tri-lane.
Definitely so. I mean, Lion Wind Ranger Viper probably wouldn't be the strongest, but even then, it's not the worst I've seen. It's really scary. You pretty much guaranteed to have a setup stun coming out from the Lion. Chilling Touch with three ranged heroes pretty much means that you have killing potential no matter what.
And that's really the tool that business gaming need to in order to get through these really high health pools of the Ogre Magi Centaur. Like, it's nice to have a lot of HP and everything. When the enemy team has Ancient Apparition, your HP pool automatically shrinks a little bit because of that ice effect. And then Chilling Touch also just cuts through that so darn quickly, despite your armor values. So next level badasses, though they may be tanky, they're by no means safe up against what the business gaming have. And the business gaming, they're not slouches on their defensive side either. Though Ancient Apparition and Lion generally tend to be more on the food side, Viper and Wind Ranger are very often difficult to kill.
Definitely so. If you catch the Wind Ranger out with the Centaur Blink Hoof Stomp into Double Edge with some follow-up from the Vengeance Ogre, can be brought down very easily, but as far as traditional right-click heroes, Wind Run is incredibly useful to get away to safety. It's going to be a Faceless Void for next level badasses, and it really does feel like an older style of draft for them. Ogre Magi and Vengeful Spirit, although not the greatest supports to synergize with Faceless Void and his Chronosphere, are going to be giving him a whole heck of a lot of damage with the Bloodlust as well as with the Vengeance Aura.
Now they're looking for one more core to pump damage into that Chronosphere. If this really was going to be a very old draft, then Jakiro would be the pick. Just slam a core Jakiro and be happy with it. But I'm pretty sure it's more likely that next level badasses are going to pick up something like an Invoker. It's a lot more focused in their approach, and it'll be able to apply a lot of pressure to that Chronosphere. Either that, or hell, you could even go for something like a Sniper right now if you're next level badasses. Just seeing, not the worst matchups for him, and it's also another hero that could pump damage into that sphere.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to it. It's going to be Queen of Pain and Batrider banned out in the last stage, and if they are going to go for something a little bit more standard, then the Sniper, a Queen of Pain, or an Invoker would have been right up their alley, just something to pump massive amounts of damage into the Chronosphere.
And for the business gaming, I mean, they know that I'm pretty sure they've played against this draft a million times before because probably every team has. They're a little bit on the well, they're on the range side first of all. A Drow Ranger here would be sweet, by the way, but that is unfortunately banned out. Still looking for, I would assume, an off-lane hero, and well, generally at this point you want to pick up something like a Centaur or a Tide Hunter just to offer a little more of a front line. Clockwork would be reasonable, but I don't really know if they want to be doing that. What do you think about a Darkseer here?
Darkseer could be interesting. I'm not sure if I really like it. It would be nice to be able to vacuum people into an Earth Spike, into an HF Persian Ice Blast, but I don't really feel it's the greatest.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just waiting for Darkseer to come back, but I'm pretty sure that those like minus armor nerfs, like -1 armor or +2 seconds of vacuum, he's eventually just going to get beaten to the ground, and it's going to be a Razor. Speaking of old heroes, we have that pick from the business gaming. So again, they have very dangerous offensive tri lanes. Pick three with the Ancient Apparition, Wind Ranger, Viper, or Razor, or whoever, and next level badasses will struggle. But really, the business gaming are all about the lane control in this game. Having 5 range heroes, that's usually going to be the case, but they're just looking to lock down the lanes and just take a very early lead off of that.
Yeah, especially up against NLBA's lineup. It really feels like they can't go wrong. I'm not sure what the mid hero is going to be for next level badasses. I think that's what we're going to see in this last pickup for them, but I think Business Gaming should be able to shuffle around their heroes to more or less guarantee that they win all three.
Yeah, so next level badasses, are they really just going to struggle inherently again? Because this time they had a lot more time to think about what they were going to do, and their lanes aren't terrible, but just look at the lanes from Business Gaming. Razor and Viper are heroes that very rarely lose their lanes in and of itself. That's dangerous. Then you have Wind Ranger, AA, and Lion. Like, these are also very scary heroes early on. And the late game for Business Gaming is not really the worst. It's not Medusa status, it's not Spectre status, but when you have 3 range heroes in the Razor, Viper, Wind Ranger, you have a lot of kiting power and you have a lot of poking power. So next level badasses, they need just something to tie this all together. And Invoker would be a nice hero to try to contest the early game. But honestly, I think next level badasses are going to be on the defensive for a great portion of the game. Ember Spirit, not really the hero I was thinking of. He's not going to have a good time, man.
No, it's going to be played by DVG, and I just don't see him doing well in his lane at all. I'm not sure if it matters whether the Viper or the Razor is the one going mid. Either case, it really feels like Ember Spirit's just going to be in for a really poor time, even up against the Wind Ranger. I think Business Gaming are pretty much at their leisure to really throw these heroes wherever they want, depending on what they feel is going to be better for them. And yeah, I think it's another situation where the Business Gaming are set up to win all three of their lanes and run with a lot of momentum throughout this game. And next level badasses just need to pray that they're given enough space to get the farm out for the Void and the Ember Spirit this game.
They don't have a super amount of damage to put into that Chronosphere either. So even though they do have something to fall back on, like you never really want to counter a team that has a Chronosphere as an asset. What are they actually going to do once they drop a Chronosphere? You ignite them, you fire blast them. That's not too dangerous. That's all they can do, really. So next level badasses, though they do have that tool, the Chronosphere, probably one of the best tools, if not the best tool at coming back from a deficit. They just don't have much synergy with it. So I'm concerned for next level badasses already, but we'll see if they can make it happen in game number 2. They're of course down a game, guys, so they have a little bit on the line right now, but they're going to be throwing the Centaur over towards Yergity. He's going to be running down towards the bottom lane, joined by the rest of the team with Skitsego on the Faceless Void, DVG on the aforementioned Ember Spirit. We got Andromines on the Vengeful Spirit, and then Ogre Magi is going to be played by McCoy's Racist Grandpa.
And on the Dire side, also running down is a 5-man unit. Boka going to be playing on the Wind Ranger, Cross on the Viper, Quilly on the Razor, Diamond on the Ancient Apparition, and Lion played by Bella. Centaur potentially going to be jumped, but this could be a full 5-on-5 engagement. Razor walking around the corner. Nobody's going to throw any spells either way, and it looks like everything's going to be diffused. Nobody really wants to fight into this, and with good reason. Chilling Touch a beast at these level 1 skirmishes.
Chilling Touch is pretty much just an automatic win for level 1 engagements. As nice as it is to have a Centaur and an Ogre Magi on your side because they are so tanky and they do so much, you can't compete against Chilling Touch. They're going to throw an Ignite the way of Lion, and I mean, that's nice damage, I suppose. Ignite actually does quite a bit, but the TBG side, we're not gone from that area yet, so they'll make sure that their line is going to be fine. They'll force the next level badass side to back off. Not really too much of an advantage going either way, but it looks like the lanes are going to settle with Quilly going up towards the top lane solo. Razor versus anyone going to be fine as long as it's 1 versus 1, but we also have a tri-lane down the bottom lane, and Centaur is not going to be happy to see that.
Definitely not. I think this is the most regen I've ever seen on a hero from 0 minutes. Bella has started out with 2 stacks of tangos, 2 flasks, and 1 clarity, 2 branches. It's pretty much just going whole hog. I'm pretty sure they expected a try v try situation here where there's no real reason to go for that much regen.
And I'm pretty sure Next Level Badass is the only reason that they're laning it like they are is because they know that the business gaming want to have a 3v3 situation. So they're trying their best to dodge it. Quilly, though, the great thing is about Razor and Viper is that you can very easily bring the 2 support heroes from the Dire side up to this top lane, and Razor and Viper will behave very, very similarly. You don't get the additional slow that you would get from the Viper, but you get a lot more damage. So if Next Level Badasses really want to make this 3v3 assignment happen, they still can. Over towards mid, Boca and DVG going at it. There's another power shot on the right, but the shield is still burning down. DVG gonna land some chains, and Boca has got to be careful though. Power shot not lethal just yet, and it looks like both sides will back off. Bottle race is relatively even, so I think that's not going to do much of anything except for pull some regen out. I don't know how that power shot did not cancel that salve. It looked like it went right over him.
Well, he's going to be happy that he didn't have his salve canceled. Boca is potentially going to have some rotations in from Diamond as well as Bella, as they're more than content to leave the center 1v1 versus the Viper, and it is spotted out by a Radiant Observer Ward, but it looks like they're just going to make the long walk to rotate up towards top, at the very least forcing Ember Spirit to play a little bit more defensively for the time being.
Yeah, so Ember Spirit knows what's coming, and he will have to back off for a little while. But these support heroes are going to reinforce into that defensive tri-lane, as I said earlier. And the problem here for Next Level Badass is that they don't really have the ability to do the same thing. They can put the Ogre Magi and Vegetable Spirit down towards the bottom lane. They might be able to shut down the Viper in doing so, but then they just throw the Faceless Void to the Wolves. He will not have a good time at all, not by a long stretch, if they leave him alone versus these 3 heroes. So the business gaming, no matter what they do with their lanes, they're going to have an advantage, as even though the Viper just lost the 2 support heroes, he's still putting the screws to the Centaur.
Yeah, and this is not a game that you can leave the Faceless Void versus the tri-lane, just be happy to get experience for him. As you've already mentioned, there's just not enough to throw into the Chronosphere to really ensure teamfight victories if you land a good Chrono. He needs to be the one dishing.
Alright, so bottom lane now going to be 1 versus 1 that the Viper should have an edge on. It helps that the Centaur Warrunner has literally 0 CS. Over towards mid, Boca does have his bottle. Ember Spirit is going to have that one as well. Courier, though, in a little bit of danger. Boca's going to misfire, though. Now he's in a little bit of trouble. Has the wind run, but the shield is burning him down. This might be the first blood. Ember Spirit actually not with enough movement speed to keep up. That was very weird. I thought the Courier was dead there.
Yeah, I thought Boca would just hit it once, wind run, chase after it, and get that Courier kill, but in the end, a little bit indecisive maybe. He is going to be dropped down a hefty margin, but he will be able to bottle up shortly. Top lane now incredibly scary for Next Level Badasses. It's really a dangerous dance, even though Next Level Badasses don't have as much damage to pump into the enemy heroes. They do have a lot of lockdown between the slow from Time Walk and 2 stuns from their supports. If Lion or Ancient Apparition get caught out alone, especially, they could be in for a lot of trouble.
And it's so key right now for Quilly to get that static link off. If he doesn't get that off because he's stunned or a little bit too far away or something like that, then Next Level Badasses will have enough power in this lane to just bulldoze the likes of the Ancient Apparition or the Lion, because they are still, at the end of the day, very, very soft heroes, and the Razor has to be the one protecting them, as weird as that is to say. Sometimes the carry just has to protect those supports, but if he doesn't get that off, then that's the only real shot that Next Level Badasses have at actually getting kills in this lane, and it will be very difficult for him to do so if Next Level Badasses make an aggressive play, like diving the tier 1 tower from behind.
Benurun going to be secured by DVG up towards top. Unfortunately for him, it's not a haste or invis, nothing that he can actually set anything up towards that top lane, and Boca's going to find himself a regen rune, and lucky enough for him, he was already sitting at sub 200 HP.
Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Yerkity still with 0 CS versus this Viper, now sitting at 30. He's gone for Phase Boots as Viper, and I think versus the Centaur, that's the item you want to go for. You know that you have an advantage in the lane, and Phase Boots is just a very early, very easy to pick up item that is just going to push your advantage to the limits. So Centaur is not going to get anything for a very, very, very long time. Maybe he'll have Stampede to contribute to the top lane, but that is not a reason to pick up a hero. So he's not going to be in for happy times down this bottom lane, especially now that the Viper has 100% control. And there's no way for the Centaur to get control back in this lane unless Ogre Magi and Vengeful Spirit both leave. And then you leave the Faceless Void to get nothing.
Yeah, it's just a lose-lose situation. The Faceless Void is getting a decent amount up in this top lane, but it could all erupt at a moment's notice. They do have level 3 up in the line, and that's a really big leap in power for that hero, getting a little bit of extra damage and duration on the Earth Spike and having the follow-up Hex, or vice versa there. And Ancient Apparition, might even be able to get a cold feet proc off of that. We'll just have to see. Right now, we're still first bloodless. Nobody really seems to want to make any rotations.
Yeah, well, over towards the mid lane, it's going relatively evenly. Boca a little bit behind that Ember Spirit, but none too substantial there. Skitsego still getting okay farm up on this top lane. Actually, Quilly is struggling quite a bit. He has phase boots as well. Only 13 CS though. You would expect about as much as Skitsego, but now Bella gonna step a little bit too far up. Gonna take a double stun, perfectly layered spike through 2, but the Faceless Void is going to get that kill before anything else. He's getting a lot of damage drained out from him. One more hit's going to do it. Quilly gets the kill from very long range. Maybe so that Faceless Void is going to be the trade for that Lion, but the Lion was definitely in the wrong position there. He got way too far ahead of himself. Over towards bottom lane, though, Yurgity is going to get dove by Cross, and there's no chance for the Centaur to escape. In fact, double edging, going to put the last points of HP to himself, and Cross is going to get that one. 2-1 now for TBG.
Yeah, although they do lose the first blood towards the Faceless Void since he died immediately after, it's not going to be a clean victory for them. The Razor is surprisingly doing quite poorly when it comes to CS. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't think there's really a reason to. Even though the Ogre Revenge is pretty darn scary, I think having a Lion and HF Rush behind you is all the more scary. Or all the more threatening, I think is a better way to put it.
Yeah, so Razor not doing the best, but of course getting a kill is going to balance that out by quite a large margin. He does have level 3 Plasma Field. He is going for what I believe to be a Ring of Basilius right now, so being able to spam that out or just cast it a couple more times, going to pressure the lane just a little bit more. So Quilly, though he's not farming the best, he is doing well enough in order to slow down the next level badasses offensive tri-lane right now, and they are going to go again potentially for Bella. One stun being thrown, there's another Fire Blast available to them, and it's not really going to result into much. This top lane for next level badasses, they're actually getting quite a few levels. 4, 4, 3, and it's mirrored on the other end, but these are just a lot more focused damage dealers than the Venge and the Ogre Magi.
And we really haven't seen the power of that Chilling Touch. Although we talked a lot about it, there really just hasn't been an opening for TBG to actually lay into anybody with that. For now, we're going to see Phase Boots picked up on both of the mid-heroes after their bottles pretty much mirroring each other when it comes to their item builds for now, and that's probably how it's going to stay. The 8-minute rune might be another opening for aggression, but for now, it looks like both teams are pretty happy with the status quo, although there are some pings going the way of Quilly.
Centaur now level 6, but still with 0 last... Okay, well, he just got 3, but those are very easy creeps to kill. I'm pretty sure at this point, as Centaur, you pick up a Stout Shield and you just try to jungle. It's very, very slow, and it's not preferable, but it's sometimes just what you got to do to get some gold, because next level badasses, their draft kind of needs a Centaur with a fast Blink Dagger, and his Blink Dagger might not even be coming this game if he still has no CS, given 20 minutes into the game, so... this Centaur is pretty broken. Over towards mid, I just completely missed that one. DVG diving deep for that Wind Ranger and coming out of there with his life.
Yeah, it was not something I was expecting at the very least, but the maxed out Flame Guard does a huge amount of damage. And with 2 points up in the Bolas as well, Ember Spirit is able to do quite a bit. Wind Ranger has been playing very aggressively in the mid lane, so it looks like this ends up getting punished for it. Outside of that, still nothing really going on. The big trigger for aggression is that Blink Dagger up for the Centaur. When did TBG start looking for pushes of their own?
Yeah, so TBG right now are going to be just fine to sit back for now, just because Centaur still is completely broke. But they're still getting an okay amount on the other lanes, despite the fact their Wind Ranger has died. DVG really needs to step up and start doing something for his team. If he somehow manages to kill the Viper, or if next level badasses the team somehow manage to kill off the Viper, then that'll break open the bottom lane for someone to farm there. But until that happens, they're going to be farming rather subpar across the entirety of the lanes. And it's going to be maybe a little bit worse now that Boca is rotating up towards the top lane. So far, next level badasses do not see this one coming. This could be really bad for them. It could be really bad for Wind Ranger as well, since he's going to take a double stun. Perfectly layered, but Windrun is there, so she's not taking any right clicks. Now the Hex on Skitsego off to the side. Spike going to fly through onto 2. That's going to be 1 kill. Here comes DVG, but he's suddenly in a 1v4 with not much backup. He's going to charge forward for that Razor. He will get 1 kill, and it looks like with Stampede, they might be able to back off successfully. It's Razor for the Venge, and somehow it's going to work out pretty well for next level badasses. Much thanks to that Stampede, but Yurgity in the meantime is going to be dove by Cross. Getting fogged a little bit, now sees the Vengeful Spirit coming in, and Viper can't get the final nail in the coffin, but he will be safe to back off.
Yeah, that Ember Spirit just finding a nice little opening and is showing again that power of the maxed out Flame Guard. Was able to make it back towards mid with an easy remnant out. Now going to bump into the Wind Ranger. Drops one-sided fist. The ultimate drop by the Wind Ranger, but well, he doesn't accomplish much of anything. Only one arrow actually going to connect.
It doesn't really matter too much in the grand scheme of things. Ember Spirit's going to be backing off. He now has 2 kills, and he does have his drums, I believe, flying out to him. Yes, that's completed drums of endurance. So DBG is going to get pretty much all the basic items you could want as the Ember Spirit. You know, maybe not Poor Man's Shield, Magic Wand. Those are also good to have, but maybe it's about time to start thinking about the super late game for that Ember, starting to build towards that Battle Furies. And as we said before, the late game from TBG, okay, as they jump towards Boca. Once again, Magic Missile, after the wind run has been used, Boca will not live here, but maybe he's going to set up for a retaliation kill for this Viper. With that Viper Strike slowing down DBG, plus 2 points poison attack, I think the Viper has enough unless he gets fogged. They are also doubling up on the main's poison attack. Not quite going to do it. Ember Spirit is actually going to get away.
Yeah, even with the Sanj slowing him down even further, he didn't have a Remnant to back off to, and Viper is going to be repelled this time by a TP in from the Ogre. Surprisingly, nobody actually dies except for the Wind Rangers. The next level badasses find themselves at a little bit of an advantage, but then again, nobody is actually getting anything out of the other lanes in the meantime. Faceless Void can't do much by himself and is forced to use a salve, and Centaur, left alone, at least is getting some room, but definitely not enough.
The next level badasses are escaping these situations just by the skin of their teeth, and that's not exactly preferable, but man, if you're getting advantage off of it, then you're going to be pretty happy. So Viper not getting too much and Ember Spirit getting a kill on the Wind Ranger at the exact same time. Looks like there's going to be a little bit of a lane swap. I think Viper is the hero that you want to have up against the Ember Spirit a little bit more than the Wind Rangers, because level 4 Corrosive Skin does a lot to brick wall that Ember Spirit. But over towards top, Skateo is going to jump in. 2-man Chronosphere. Stampede is there as well. They're going to try to go for the Lion. They need very lucky bashes right now, but turn around for an Impale and a Hex onto 2. That's going to be pretty bad. Skateo is going to get locked down to the floor with the Plasma Field to get 1 kill. Here comes the Ember Spirit. Quilly doesn't have that much damage stolen, but he has enough to triple jump forward actually from DVG. Wants to go for Quilly, but I don't think he has enough damage right now. He's going to put up the shield, spike through. Not going to be enough either, as the Razor is going to take a fall. The Ancient Apparition has backed off. No one coming in to help out this Lion. He's going to get chained to the floor and then swap back into a Fire Blast. That's going to be 2 kills for next level badasses. Where were the heroes for TBG? I don't know. Okay, they were getting a kill on the Centaur. That's what they were doing. And Viper also comes in to clean up the Vengeful Spirits. Overall, TBG get a decent trade across the map.
Yeah, a pretty awkward one, too. I don't know, there was a lot of moments where it could have gone either way, a lot of nice Urspikes being thrown out by the Lion, but even so, Ember Spirit's still really at a high peak for the hero, and he's able to do a lot of damage, even without getting that many physical damage items under his belt. Still able to win inside that skirmish, and 2-0-3, this Ember Spirit is starting to pick up quite a bit of farm.
Unfortunately, even though the top lane went decently for next level badasses, Boca got a kill on that Centaur, who still just isn't going to have anything. Has Tranquil Boots and nothing else 13 minutes into the game. It's far from where you want to be as a Centaur Warrunner. And the Wind Ranger has, most of the 4 staff completed. So that'll allow for those shackle shots to line up, and maybe it'll help them get away from these situations where they're barely scraping out, or next level badasses are barely scraping out these fights with another 4 staff to deal with. Most likely they're going to have to dive a little bit deeper to get these kills. Then maybe they don't live if they do get the kills at all. So 6-6 right now, and TPG not doing too terribly, but next level badass is not doing too terribly either. The fact that their Centaur just isn't getting anything is really concerning.
Yeah. Interesting item choices on the Viper. He goes for just a casual Sanj and then back into the mechanism. Like we saw last game, usually if you're going to pick up a casual item from an S and Y, it's generally going to be the Yasha. What are your thoughts?
Well, Sanj as a health item, as a survivability item, is a decent pickup. That being said, you don't really need the health up against whatever lane he was up against for the entire game. Whatever lanes you're going to be up against in this game, you don't need that extra health. I'm pretty sure I would much rather like to see him just go straight for the mech if he was going to get that at some point in the game. And it is an awkward kind of transitionary item to have in your inventory. But as far as a late game halberd or a little bit later halberd, that'll just be backbreaking for next level badasses. Ember Spirit really doesn't want to be getting a BKB. They're going to catch Quilly down the bottom lane. This Razor should be dying with the perfectly placed Chronosphere. That's going to do it. But Halberd just locks down the Ember Spirit so hard, and it locks down Faceless Void until he gets BKB. So down the line, it's going to be fine, but for right now, it's not really what you want to have.
I think that pretty much sums it up, and Skateko is going to be a long way away from getting a BKB at any point in this game, and is for now going to get some space down towards bottom. It pretty much is just focused on the intermediate items. Again in mid, Boca going to be jumped on by the Ember Spirit, this time with a little bit of backup. Is going to force the Ember back, but maybe not back enough. Boca going to need the Magic Missile drop down to less than 50 HP. They only need one more Sleight of Fist, but just can't find it. Wind Ranger going to survive by the skin of her teeth.
And if that was a level 4 Sleight of Fist, I'm pretty sure that would have been a kill, but it, unfortunately, for next level badasses, is not. They lose the top tier 1 in the meantime to that Viper, so putting that phase boots to good use, plus level 2 Nether Toxin not doing too terribly either. Bottom lane, they tried to make something happen, but that's really, really difficult to do up against a Razor, now a Lion to reinforce. So next level badasses, they lose a tower in exchange for, you know, a 1-kill advantage in the grand scheme of things. It's not really going to matter too much. They're thinking about going for Quilly, but with no Chronosphere, it's just not going to happen.
Well, looks like that's going to be about all she wrote, although TBG are grouped up with 4 heroes down the bottom lane. Looks like they're going to make a push happen by themselves, and they do have that mech freshly picked up by the Viper, looking for a Shackle Latch on the Skatega, not going to find it, and with the Ignite multicasting through, looks like that's going to be about the end of the aggression for now. Centaur Ultimate looking to disengage, trying to save the Vengeful Spirit, will it? 13 HP. Andromine's going to survive from that, poison tick damage coming out from across. Ember Spirit going to get a tower destruction inside mid, Shackle Latch onto the Ogre with the H apparition Ice Blast flying through, it's going to be the end of his life, and trades across the map it seems.
And Skitsego just don't move, and they might not realize you're there. Power shot through, and they know he's there. Will they actually bother to kill him, though? He's going to go not deep into the trees, really. If Lion was a little bit close... Oh, no, that vision of him. Okay. That Vortex, I guess, giving the vision, although it doesn't really look like it was in range. Either way, if this is Void, going to get picked off. He didn't quite jump far enough in, but he only has a level 1 time walk, so he couldn't really go that far either way.
No, just a really awkward spot to be caught out as the Faceless Void, and pretty much as soon as that power shot hit, it felt like he was pretty much dead. Tier 1 tower going to fall to the favor of the Business Gaming, and they'll now transition down to Tier 2. Although their pushing power isn't as immense as what we saw last game, it's more than enough to put this tower down, at least down half health.
Alright, so Business Gaming going to pressure this tower quite a bit, force the hand of next level badasses. You really don't want to be giving away tier 2s at this stage. Yurgity is very close to a Blink Dagger, actually, so maybe he'll be able to grab that, go to the base, regen, then make something happen down in the bottom lane. The surprise element of the Blink Dagger can get you a couple of kills the first time you use it. So maybe the Centaur is going to step up right now, but if that doesn't happen, if the Lion is on point with Hex or something like that, then this should be a very easy tower destruction, and maybe best case scenario for next level badasses, they make it a 1-for-1 tower trade, as DBG up towards top is doing some decent damage to that tier 1.
Yeah, pretty much. The Centaur is very close to getting that Blink Dagger up, but he is in no situation to actually join this fight or really contribute anything. 20 seconds on cooldown for the Stampede might be able to help somebody disengage, but that's about it.
Well, we're just awkwardly paused here for the moment, so I guess it's a good time to look at some of the items that will be coming up in this game. Got the Perseverance already up on DVG, so he is starting to build towards those Battle Furies, or just a Battle Fury, I guess, to start out with. We have a Medallion on the Vengeful Spirit, probably the most cost-effective item you could possibly find, and of course just that Mask of Madness on the Faceless Void as well, but nothing much aside from that. He's still not going to be the most potent threat, even though he has gone for that level 4 time lock. His only 1 point in time walk means that the Chronosphere, though it is still kind of threatening, isn't really a threat, just because you will see it coming.
Yeah, especially if he doesn't get bashes. With the Mask of Madness, he does do a decent amount of damage inside the Chronosphere by himself, but yeah, right now TBG, it just feels like most of them are a little too tanky, and the Lion and H apparition should be sitting far enough back.
Alright, so going through a couple more of those heroes, Ancient Apparition doesn't really have that much, has an urn, and that's about it. So it looks like no minus in the works just yet for Diamond, and that will mean a later Aghanim Scepter, if anything else. Aside from that, we have Aghanim Scepter in the process for Razor, and the Sanjin Yastra is actually going to be built from the Viper, so the weirdest item sequencing I've ever seen. But these are 2 good items on Viper, I suppose.
Yeah, it ends up working out for him. Usually we'll go the mech first into the Yasha, into the Sanj, and then later on Myth Style and Heaven's Halberd are very potent items to have. But yeah, for now, he's going to be a mid-game powerhouse. Tier 2 tower push by TBG is going to be repelled, and it looks like they want to defend their Tier 1 tower up towards top. The Ember Spirit has dropped it down to about 300 HP, and looks like he's going back off. Although Power Shot gives them vision, again, it doesn't hit. Weird hitboxes with Power Shot today.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on. Power Shot is kind of one of those skills. That and the Arrow from Mirana are skills that just sometimes don't work at all the way you expect them to, but man, that's just weird to see twice. So either way, it's the top lane going to be defended by TBG, and they're going to instead set their sights in the mid-tier 1. Probably an easier tower to take However, this time they will have to deal with a Blink Dagger Centaur. He's going to teleport into the tier 2. They're going to open up onto Quilly, though. Out of position right now. He's going to get mech'd up for now. Blink forward for Hookstop onto Bella. Triple jump in from TBG, going to get a couple. There's the Chronosphere onto that Viper. The damage, though, just not there, and Viper should be able to walk this one off, but it's still a decent trade. Chain to the floor now. Viper multicast it down. It is going to be another casualty, and the Business Gaming getting into a fight despite their lack of Wind Ranger. Very questionable, to say the least. The Wind Ranger is coming in, and with a 2-man shackle, they might be able to make something happen, but do they even want to risk it?
I mean, it's not entirely their fault they didn't see the Blink Dagger up for the Centaur, but since he's been missing out from the map and has been jungling for that time, it's pretty much to be expected. We have an Invis rune up from Boca over in the sidelines, looking for a shackle opportunity. Maybe they can take a return fight, but yeah, it looked like that was just really straightforward from NLBA. They're going to get Shackle Latch onto Skitsego, and with the Mask of Madness activated, not going to help him here. He gets the Time Walk off with the Ice Blast onto him, and a couple more arrows from Boca, going to be the end of his life. TP attempt coming out from McCoy's racist grandpa, but he's going to be able to make it back towards base. Courier also going to be able to find his way home.
Alright, so it's just a solo pick off there for the Wind Ranger, and as far as turnarounds are concerned, you probably can't expect too much more to happen. And the Business Gaming, they're not really going to be slowed down too much by that loss in the mid lane. Really still on the front lines. He's pretty tanky, but by far from invulnerable. They're going to quickly destroy the tower, looking for a shackle into TVG. If they waited just a split second more, they could have lashed him to a creep, but unfortunately for them, Ember Spirit's going to walk away from that. Yet they still take a tower. They still take not the best team fight, but it's relatively even for TBG in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I think so too. Right now we do have that Sun Jinasha picked up by the Viper all the way finished as soon as he wants to fly that out to him on the Courier. But for now, both teams have decent ways to actually take fights, although TBG are sitting on a decent lead. As far as net worth is concerned, about 4,000 in their favor and experience, 1,000 NLBA's side, but really this lead is stagnated throughout the game. It really hasn't increased or less than 1,000 for the last 10 minutes or so.
And that just means that it still can go either way. This Faceless Void needs to pick up his farm with a Maelstrom, I would expect, in the works. That is going to help quite a bit, but Maelstrom's already completed on Boca, so I guess anything the Faceless Void can do, Wind Ranger can match. And, well, 10-10 right now. The Business Gaming maybe thinking about going for a Roshan right now. They, again, don't really have the best Roshan heroes. They have a lot of damage, and I think they have enough tanking power, but it's kind of a risk up against the Faceless Void Chronosphere.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially when you have a blinking Centaur to back him up and almost a Battle Fury up for the Ember Spirit. They're going to get chains in mid as well as swapping to Boca. Force Staff forward is going to give her a little bit of birth from the enemy team with the finger Ice Blast onto 2, going to secure a double for TBG. They're going to link up onto 1, but with a haste. Coming out from the Stampede, it's going to buy McCoy a little bit more space, although Vision uphill, and it looks like Earthspike not going to land onto him, and he's going to get a little bit more room, although they just need one more auto attack, and they'll find it. Razor going to be able to secure the kill. It's 3 for 1.
And that's a 3-for-1 trade that TBG are going to be very happy to make, even though losing their Wind Ranger is probably the hero that they want to keep alive the most. The next level badasses just clump up a little bit too much, and you really can't clump up against an Ancient Apparition, you can't clump up against a Lion, and you especially can't clump against them both. So 2-man Spike into a 2-man Ice Blast, into a Finger of Death, just lay it all in, and that's going to be a very easily done set of kills there for TBG. In the meantime, Centaur, awkwardly stuck behind the top tier 1. He actually might get this tower destruction, and he will, because for some reason the Viper didn't deny it.
Yeah. He's going to be able to make a clean TP out, and nothing Viper can do about that, and a slick play coming out from the Centaur, although I'm pretty sure that Viper did not expect a Centaur to be sitting in these trees, because I probably wouldn't have either. Most players wouldn't. I'm not exactly sure who would expect a Centaur to be up there. You'd have to have map hack, I think.
Yeah, either that or you would have had to like be watching his movement the entire time. I don't really know how he ended up back there. Maybe they saw him, maybe they didn't. Maybe he just blinked a couple times back there, but either way, you should have just denied the tower. Like, there's no reason to leave a tower up at, like, what, 90 HP like that? It's just completely pointless.
Yeah, definitely so. We're going to see TBG group up a little bit down towards bottom lane, and things have slowed down a little bit as both teams are just waiting for that next round of items to be picked up. Aghanim Scepter out on the Razor, and there's your Battle Fury for Ember Spirit.
So a little bit of acceleration now from next level badasses. We'll see if they get time to use it, because right now the Roshan is going to be attempted by TPG with Viper to tank, Wind Ranger to put in the damage. Invis Rune on the Vengeful Spirit though, going to blow one smoke, so they know something's going on. Andromines though right now is completely safe. Oh, Razor is going to buy his Aghanim Scepter, is going to come in. Here comes the Chronosphere onto just the Viper, though. Roshan actually can help out quite a bit, but a two-man Shackle going to die most of that. Most onto the side, though. Yurgity is going to get a two-man Hoof Stomp into one kill. That's going to be 2 kills on 2 supports, but the Viper is still surviving. Here comes Quilly. Going to start linking up Yurgity right now, doing quite a bit of damage, but not quite enough for lethal. DBG also off to the side, can't really do that much either, as Cross in the meantime going into 1v3, kills off the Centaur with Corrosive in the end, also kills off the Vengeful Spirit with Corrosive Skin. The Ember Spirit's still alive, is going to be off to the side right now. Bella looking for him, needs a blind spike right about now, not going to connect. And that looks like it should be the end of it. After all said and done, it's a 4 for 3, though TPG having to buy back 2 of their heroes. That's an expensive fight. They need to get the Roshan after this if they're going to make it even at all.
And it looks like they are going to. That first Shackle onto the Vengeful Spirit, just a really unfortunate spot for the Venge to be in. I don't think the Wind Ranger expected that to actually latch. Maybe the Ogre would have walked close enough, but ends up turning the fight for them a little bit. It is costly, but they are going to secure that second life, and it looks like they're going to hand it over the way of the Wind Ranger, and that is going to be a second life for Boca.
She probably has the most damage potential here. Giving it to Razor is most likely not going to be doing that much, though he does have Eye of the Storm Aghanim'd up. He's tanky enough, and the Viper are both tanky enough to just, tank through it the old-fashioned way, and you could let the Wind Ranger stand her ground with that Aegis and focus fire for that lightning damage. So it is going to be TPG to get the Roshan, and that's going to mean that the last fight isn't too disastrous for them. The next level badasses, even though they had a Chronosphere that was absolutely terrible, they're going to jump in over towards the top lane. It's going to be a jump in towards Boca. Stun is there. Wind Run, though, in time. Plus, she has that Aegis, so they're not going to kill her off now. Even if they do manage to bring her down once, they can't do it again. Swap back, though, onto Diamond. They can stir as hell, kill the Ancient Apparition. Here comes Skitsego, and they have to deal with Quilly now in the area, but this Razor really isn't that threatening. Power shot through, not going to connect onto the Centaur for some reason. That did not hit. He'll just get killed off very easily, and Andromind's also going to turn off for the Magic Missile, will cost her life because of that current. Here comes the Ember Spirit, though, going to do a lot of damage to Quilly. In fact, burst him down completely. Shackle, what is that range? That's going to land, but Boca and now Bella all stuck in that Chronosphere. They're both going to be brought down. Bella is going to be throwing out a Hex, but that can't really do enough. Viper is in the area. He has a mech right now, and he will drop it for that line. One more Sleight of Fist, not going to do it. Now the right clicks, going to kill off that Ember Spirit. As the Ogre tries to TP out, he will make it out alive. It just seems like TPG, they're all on different wavelengths. Some of them want to fight, and some of them want to run away.
Yeah, I think if they all chose the same direction, it could have gone a lot better for them, but it's still not terrible. It's a 3 for 3, pretty much null as far as the trade either side. A little bit more experience towards TBG where it counts, on the Razor and Wind Ranger especially. But then again, there's really not much else to talk about. Icebot's going to throw into the enemy fountain, but doesn't actually connect on anybody that's low, and not going to secure any kills, although slightly annoying.
And next level badasses, this is really where we see their tankiness coming into play. If they're taking these run and gun fights where they're picking off a hero, then backing off just a little bit, they're getting a little bit extra healing, and they're getting a little bit extra armor value there, and it all does tend to add up, and they're just taking such scattered fights that TBG are kind of... I think that's probably why TBG are a little bit indecisive about whether or not they want to go in, is because they know that the enemies are very low. Their health bars, show up a lot of red, but do you really want to go in on a red health hero when that hero is a Centaur Warrunner, when that hero is an Ogre Magi? You probably don't, especially since you don't know what's around the corner. So the tankiness of next level badasses are really keeping them in these fights, just because TBG are really struggling to come up with a significant answer to it.
Definitely so. Well, Roshan is down for the count for quite a long time, so we're not going to see that contested, and really there's no easy pushes for both sides, really. Tier 2 towers are all that's there. There is a Tier 1 tower down towards bottom, I suppose, and that should be taken out shortly by next level badasses. They'll force that forward, looking for a Shackle. Not going to latch. A blink away from the Centaur is going to keep him safe.
Well, 18 to 19, this game definitely a lot closer than the last. The net worth is still, spiking a little bit towards next level badasses, though still in control of the business gaming, and experience is, barely in anyone's favor, so can't really call an advantage either way, though this should be the time in the game where the business gaming are substantially stronger than next level badasses. This is their peak right now for these heroes, and I'm pretty sure they have a little bit more to grow, but in comparison to the Ember Spirit, who's dishing at this point, and the Faceless Void, the late game potential of next level badasses is a lot higher than the business game. If they could keep drawing even in these fights, then they're going to be pretty happy moving forward.
Generally, we talk a lot about the core's items, but the Ogre Magi has managed to find himself an Aghanim Scepter, and this could be huge. Smoke coming out from next level badasses. They look for a flank. onto TBG, and it looks like they're going to bump straight into Quilly. Vision over the sidelines. Andrew Mines going to instead swap into Diamond, looking for the Chronosphere, going to catch out too, and with Cross being focused down, getting chained down by the Ember Spirit, looks like they're going to be able to bring him down with the finger from long range. Now with Axe over on Jurgen, trying to find a little bit more. The Ember Spirits continue to do a lot of damage throughout this fight. They chain down one, now we'll be able to bring down Bella in a full 5-man wipe. The Vengeful Spirit, the only one to lose their life.
And even though they only had a one-man Chronosphere off to the side, Viper was brought down in the midst of that. He did not have his BKB up, and there was a two-man hoof stomp there from Jurgen in order to cover that Chronosphere. So there was nothing that the Business Gaming could really do in order to help out their allies who were stuck, their ally who was stuck, the Viper, because the Centaur was right on top of them. So Jurgen with that Blink Dagger making some serious plays, and this is after being shut down completely for the first 10, 12 minutes of the game. He had absolutely nothing. Now he's seriously delivering with the goods. So the Business Gaming getting kind of blindsided by that fact. The Ancient Apparition got swapped in and then was just awkwardly standing there. I don't really know what he was doing. I guess just didn't expect that to happen, but he didn't get like a single skill off by the time he was dead. So Business Gaming getting caught unawares, and well, that's just the power of a smoke. And if you get a smoke from that angle, the enemy doesn't expect it, you'll be able to get quite a bit going. They're going to take down a couple of towers after the fact, and they're going to walk away without losing anyone.
Yeah. Next level badasses are really in a pretty good spot this game. Although the Viper had a really good early start, and the Razor had a good start as well. Or not really a great start, but definitely passable. TBG haven't been able to maintain that momentum, and it's kind of a problem with their draft. Even though they do well in the lanes, getting that transition is a little bit difficult for them. And right now, next level badasses are starting to pick up a decent chunk of damage, especially on their cores. You have the Faceless Void, now rocking the Maelstrom and a crit, and DVG with Battle Fury as well as Chrysalis for himself. The damage inside the Chronosphere is starting to grow for them.
And that Chrysalis is soon going to be turning into a upgraded item. They have a Demon Edge on that courier, so yeah, there's going to be crits raining down everywhere from DVG. And well, so far the Business Gaming have been struggling to deal with this Ember Spirit. As far as heroes that you need to disable, Ember Spirit is on the top of the list, but you can't always reserve a Hex for the Ember Spirit because their line doesn't have a Blink Dagger. If Bella did have one, then killing off the Ember Spirit, making him a non-factor, would be very easy, but he is still pretty far away from it, so they have no easy way of shutting down this Ember Spirit. He'll just be constantly jumping around with those Sleights of Fists, with those spirits, and you can't really do much about that except for try to tank through it, and that's not going to happen once this crit comes up.
Yeah, definitely so. It really seems that that's one of the biggest differences between these two teams. The supports on NLBA have been able to get quite a bit more. Stampede trying to buy them a little bit more distance. Chronosphere completely whiffed by NLBA, and that is going to be a big, fat, frowny face in the bubble of doom that didn't catch anybody. TBG are going to be able to back off after the fact.
Well, I guess nice little badasses don't lose anyone there, so it could have been a lot worse, I suppose. But TBG, this is their chance to do something, knowing that Chronosphere is down. It's, at this point, not really the most threatening tool on next level badasses. I would be scared a lot more of the Ogre Magi and of the Ember Spirit and just their raw potential, but you don't have to worry about a Chronosphere. You make a push happen right now if you can, and they definitely have enough power because they have that Aghanim Scepter Eye of the Storm.
Yeah, right now they are going to kind of push a little bit with Fire Blast coming out from the Ogre, but they can't do much else. They do have a fresh Daedalus on the Ember Spirit, however, and they might be able to punish TBG, but for now, it's going to be a smoke up from NLBA. Looking again for the wraparound, let's see if they're going to be able to find an opening. If they're able to connect with the Fire Blast coming out from the Ogre, as well as with the Centaur Stomp, things could go disastrously for TBG. They'll open up with the Focus Fire, swap back behind the tower range, Hoof Stomp. They are going to be able to double edge down that Viper, bringing a kill for the Faceless Void. Quilly getting a decent link off, 56 damage stolen, trying to focus down Andromine's going to be able to force staff up, and now with an unrefined Fire Blast onto the Razor, dropping low, crits through onto the line. That's going to be the end of his life. Time walk forward, they'll be able to bash down the Razor as well. They do get the deny on the tower, and they're chasing for even more, trying to get kills. They aren't able to find Boca on the way out, but NLBA is still finding a 3 for 0 plus a tower denial.
Swap back into an instant stun. Not even enough time for a Viper to pull the trigger on that BKB. I'm pretty sure he did have, time there in theory, but man, just not being able to block any of that magical damage would have saved him for sure. And maybe TBG would have jumped into action. Maybe they would have made a couple kills happen, but instead it's just a clean sweep for next level badasses. They just collapse on TBG after having picked off the Viper, even without a Chronosphere. And because they take that fight without a Chronosphere, this next fight that might happen around this tier 2 will be with Chronosphere. So next level badass is really going to put the screws to TBG, and it just seems like TBG are just not getting enough damage. It's just they're not tanky enough or something in these fights. They're just getting initiated upon, and really they don't have any good way of initiating themselves because Wind Ranger with the 4-staff Shackle is far from reliable and hasn't been happening.
Yeah, really, they kind of needed a Blink Dagger on this line a long time ago, and Bella is still quite a decent way from it, and with the current rate of farming, it's not going to be happening for 10 minutes or so, if even that. Smoke up coming out from TBG, trying to find a fight in their own turns, but this is spotted out completely by an observer from the Radiant, and they're just going to stampede out there cleanly.
Take no chances. If you know what's going to go on, you don't really want to test the enemy team and will try to draw out ultimates or anything like that. A little bit too risky, not enough reward. So they're going to back off right now, and this is getting to a late game stage where Next Level Badasses have pretty much gone through the worst of it. The Razor is definitely past his peak. We can already see how useless he is in these fights, and Viper at this point, he's still decently tanky, but Next Level Badasses clearly have enough to bring him down. And after those two heroes are, pretty much crossed off, you don't have to worry about that many other things from TBG. So Next Level Badasses, they're fine to just sit back and farm it up, and that's exactly what they're going to be doing. They're in no rush in this game.
They potentially look for a jump onto the Ember Spirit. He's able to get a Sleight of Fist out. Let's see if he's able to Remnant away. He's shackled up, but that doesn't latch. DBG with the Focus Fire damage, it's enough, and it looks like his Remnant just expired. Unfortunate for him.
Oh man, yeah, I was just going to say, you don't go this far up as anyone if you don't have some sort of backup plan. And Ember Spirit usually has a very easy backup plan. You jump to your Remnant. But if it's going to expire, then it's going to expire. So DBG making a very slight misplay there, and that's just got to keep track of those Remnants, man. Otherwise, it will cost you your life. So it's a nice pick off for TBG, but will they actually do anything off of this? It seems like they're mobilizing, but what can they actually do from this position? Not much, because there are Radiant Observer wards frickin' everywhere.
Yeah, the vision coming out from NLBA is really stunning TBG's attempts at doing pretty much anything. They're pretty comfortable throughout every spot of this map. We do have a Roshan respawn for either side, so maybe that is going to be the next objective on the table for them, but yeah, that pickoff really doesn't seem like it's going to do much. It looks like Ember Spirit should be back before any major fights break out.
Well, 22 seconds and Ember Spirit's still not alive. The Roshan is pretty slow from TBG as far as Roshings are concerned, especially with Wind Ranger not in that pit with that focused fire. They need the Wind Ranger here if they're going to kill off Roshan. Off to the side, however, they're going to lose their Ancient Apparition immediately. Now going to charge forward for Bella. Spike is going to hit onto absolutely everyone, but that isn't really going to do that much because he's going to die to one more Fire Blast. And the supports of TBG just in the wrong position. And now the Ember Spirit is going to respawn. And because the two supports aren't alive for TBG, Next Level Badasses can swoop in and steal this Roshan.
Yeah, it's really scary for them. TBG definitely need the extra power from their supports to take a fight, even if they can, in a 5v5. With the Medallion up for the Venge, as well as with the Minus Armor coming up from the wave, Roshan's going to fall in a heartbeat. This is going to be a double life, presumably for DBG, and they are going to hand it the way of the Ember.
This is getting out of control for the business gaming right now. They have like all these items which just aren't doing anything in their inventories. The Aghanim Scepter hasn't gotten value on the Razor because they haven't really pushed anything except for mid, which was denied. The Razor hasn't used his BKB a single time, and Wind Ranger has been doing her best with what she has, but just having one hero with items is not going to be enough, not by a long shot. So Next Level Badasses, they have the Aegis, and even though their game plan should still and generally be just sit back and get a little bit more farm, they have an Aegis, and they should be looking to take down this last tier 2 tower top lane at the very least.
Yeah, I think that's probably the game plan for them, and right now NLBA have pretty much all of the tools that they could want. Stampede looking for kills, blink over the top by the Centaur, doesn't find anybody to connect with, and they're just a little too far away. The Viper and the Wind Ranger, at least for now, are going to be safe. Cross going to make a quick TP back to base.
And that's just going to leave the Vengeful Spirit getting a little bit more farm up in the top lane, while the rest of the heroes just stake out the enemy jungle. Now they have almost complete vision of who's going in and out. I don't really know if I would have placed this Observer Ward up on top. Probably up on the hill is, I guess, a little bit more predictable, but it's also a lot better, which is the reason why it's predictable. It would have given them complete vision of what TBG were up to, but I don't think they really have to worry too much about what's going to go on in the enemy side of the jungle, just because the odds of TBG wanting to defend this tower are very, very slim.
Yep, well, for Next Level Badasses, they're also sitting on an Invis rune for them, but that's going to be popped right about now. Looks like this is just going to be a tier 2 tower forfeited by TBG. They might counter push it a little bit, maybe a Plasma Field here, or a Ice Blast there, but nothing super significant. Looks like it's just going to be gone.
And TBG are going to sacrifice this. They probably don't have to worry about a high ground push incoming from Next Level Badasses. Actually, they might. I mean, they still have the Aegis. If you're Next Level Badasses, do you just go for it anyway?
I'm not sure. Maybe. It would be wonderful if they could find a pick off first, but I'm not exactly sure where that's going to be or where that would be. They're going to spot the Viper, however. The Stampede's going to be spent, and it looks like it's going to be crossed completely up the river without a pedal. 3 times multi-gas. He throws a Viper Strike before he dies, but he can't actually do anything. Skaseiko's actually dropping incredibly low with the Mask of Madness activated. Not enough backtracks to his name, but they'll be fine. That's going to be the Viper down for 70 seconds.
And that is the tankiest hero on their side. He did take quite a bit, and the chain stunning for Next Level Badasses was not there at all. Their objective was burst, not... Oh, wait, Ice Blast? Onto Skaseiko. Is this a kill? It's... No, it's only level 1. I don't think that's a kill. Even though Mask of Madness is there, it's going to be fine. Up towards top lane, Quilly is going to get hit with the wave, chain down to the floor, swap back into a stomp. That looked like such a janky kill. It looked like the Razor was going to survive, but turns out the Venge and Centaur were just setting up that combo, and it worked out pretty well. Now 2 core heroes down the tubes for TBG. One of these lanes are being pushed.
Definitely. So the Faceless Void even pops a BKB just to take no chances with that Ice Blast. So I suppose it's a little bit of a win for TBG, but it's not going to save this tier 3 tower. You also have your second Battle Fury up on the Embers. Spirit to add insult to injury. TBG is going to be absolutely dishing. Buyback in the Razor. They want to defend this. Melee Barracks might be defended, but they've already lost a tier 3 tower. And from here on out, NLBA are going to find a much easier time going for the high ground push if they can find a pick off, especially on Razor or Viper.
They have a level 2 swap, but just cooled down. DVG going to jump in for a couple of sleights of fist. Fire Blast after the swap onto Quilly. This Razor's going to get absolutely nothing done. Even with the 2-man shackle, it's going to be nice, but the Chronosphere lands onto 2 as well. Skaseiko going to kill off Bella, will die in his own Chronosphere, however, and Viper still on the front line, still has a BKB if he really wants to. DVG, though, has no backup plan here. He's going to fight to the death. He does have an Aegis, though, and Ogre Magic can't really help out. They're going to leave this Ember Spirit alone. He's going to try to jump down to the low ground. Another Sleight of Fist, going to do some damage. He will get chained to the tree, however. Ice Blast through, and DVG is going to fall. That's Aegis down the tubes, and TBG defend their mid lane. Ogre Magi is the only one who gets to live. And, I mean, that's kind of the reason why NLBA's game plan was just chill and do nothing, because that can happen. But still, it's not really the worst, because they have had so many great trades up until this point.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much one of the best fights that TBG could have asked for. They do lose the death of the Razor after him buying back in the previous engagement, but it still works out. They take the Aegis, they take the second life, and really it couldn't have gone better for them. They focused down the right targets when they could have, and the Faceless Void Chronosphere, he wasn't able to catch out the Wind Ranger, so it was easy focus fire down, and that does a huge amount of damage with Maelstrom and with that skill being maxed out.
32-25 though, still 4 next level badasses. Even though the Ember Spirit did go down there, he's still packing a Daedalus plus 2 Battle Furies. Like, this is incredibly dangerous, and if Faceless Void gets any sort of survivability item at all in this game, which he actually does have now, a BKB, then he'll be able to do a lot of damage as well. He just has to make sure not to die of tier 4s. So the next level badass is a momentary hiccup for them, but I'm still pretty sure that they have complete control of this game. I mean, they have almost a freaking scythe on the Ogre Magi. That's just not supposed to happen ever.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised that he went for the scythe. I was expecting something like a Blinker Force, but I mean, if you can get that much money on the Ogre, why not? Absolutely, why not? McCoy's Racist Grandpa is rolling the dough and pretty much operating at the level of a core farmer. In fact, he's well overtaken the Razor. He really just hasn't had much of an impact this game. Really got an Aghanim Scepter to decent timing, but from here on out, just haven't been able to pick up anything. He has an Ogre Club to his name. That just really doesn't cut it.
The 8,800 net worth on the Razor hasn't changed for like the entire game. That buyback also just really just meant that he will not get anything at all in this game. He so desperately wants a BKB, but that won't even help him that much. Like, it'll maybe help him get up against this multicasting Ogre Magi, but soon the threat is going to be chiefly the Ember Spirit and the Faceless Void, and BKB isn't going to do squat against those heroes.
Yeah, it's really not. We do have a gem picked up by TBG, so maybe, just maybe, they'll be able to put enough dent into NLBA's map vision to secure an advantage, and it's really something that's been necessary for them throughout the game. NLBA have been able to secure a lot of nice aggressive vision in the enemy woods, and, well, for once, maybe TBG are going to be able to put an end to that.
And we'll see if they can actually get there and get rid of those wards. Even if they do, it's not really going to be a huge loss for NLBA because they are in the area enough that they could collapse on the enemy side. They already see them coming in. They know that there's a gem now on Boca, and they will collapse and try to look for a fight and try to keep this additional observer ward alive, or just position themselves into kind of luring TBG in. Either way, I don't know if TBG can move any further. They have a Butterfly and Viper. That's a really nice pickup, plus a Scythe and the Wind Ranger. Like, these are really nice items to have. Maybe they are powerful enough to help them win a couple of fights.
Yeah, we'll just have to see right now. It's pretty much just a matter of waiting for that next fight, and I think it's going to be NLBA. They're going to orchestrate it. They're currently just defensively farming on their side map, or TBG, even though they know that the enemy team doesn't have vision inside of their woods, really can't go anywhere. They don't know where the enemy team is at all, and even though they're not anywhere close, that fear is pretty much paralyzing. You have an invis run up in your centaur, and maybe this can set up a fight for NLBA.
Well, it's only going to set up a fight if TBG ever leave their base, and it seems like that's not part of the game plan. They go out, kill an observer, then go right back in. I guess mission accomplished, but they're going to smoke up now, and they're going to be running into a Centaur with a Blink Hex available. And there it is. There's the Hex onto Centaur. They have another Impale plus a Hex if they need it, but they don't because the Shackle landed, and Centaur is going to be destroyed. Invisibility Rune, they should have known that that wasn't safe because they just had a ward destroyed, but maybe they just weren't paying attention.
Yeah, maybe so. I'm not sure if they were checking the inventory, but the gem online making that invis rune more or less useless for the Centaur. It's going to be a nice pickoff for TBG, but can they do very much after the fact? It'll at least free them up to farm on their side of the map, which is better than nothing. They have a Butterfly up for Cross, and he is starting to hit pretty hard. This isn't your standard just go Ags and more utility Viper. He is hitting pretty hard for his team.
Well, Roshan is up, and Centaur's still not up for another 40 seconds. This is the perfect timing for TBG. If the game felt a little bit different and Roshan was going to be spawning in a minute or something, this could be a very different game. But instead, I'm pretty sure TBG just get it for your Aegis here because the game kind of smiling on them at this point.
Yeah, and this should be a double life for probably the Wind Ranger. They have a cheese as well, so there is some flexibility when it comes to who they actually give it to. Viper's going to be dropping his TP. We do have a pause from the Ember Spirit. What?
You throw in a wave and then you pause shortly after? Oh, we've seen this bug before.
Oh, that's right. It is. I thought they fixed that forever ago. It's an Ember Spirit thing, I'm pretty sure. I think you have to TP back to base to fix it.
No, I think if you just jump with your Remnant, and you should fix it. That happened to Miracle on BBC, and we had to pause and everything. So I'm pretty sure he's just stuck here until he uses a Remnant to get out of there.
Really close to this spot too, if I remember correctly. It was like over here.
No, it was like down below the tier 1 tower. It was like back here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was very recently.
Very recently? How's very recently?
1 sec. I will give you the exact
I might be
date.
thinking of a different occurrence.
Well, we probably are. It was January.
Okay, it was before
20-something, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a month ago.
No, 29th. It was like recently. It was like a week ago.
Wow. Okay, so
yeah, the Ember Spirit's still going to be stuck here.
Yeah. Do you know what causes it? Like, what do you do?
I have no idea, man. It just doesn't. It's not something you watch like a hero in these areas. It's something that kind of happens.
Yeah, who knows? Either way, we're going to unpause, and looks like TBG are just going to continue for this Roshan, although NLBA are closed.
You got a Remnant, dude. I already told you what to do. Why is he not using... Well, I just told him how to fix it, and he's not fixing it.
Oh, I think TPing fixes it too.
That should work also. But he just got a TP delivery and just not doing that either. I don't know if I should tell him again to jump with the Remnant because that would fix it. He can't jump to... He doesn't have any out. This is interesting. Volvo, please. I thought this would be fixed once we're out of beta.
Well, I mean, technically Ember Spirit wasn't in beta.
That is true. Ember Spirit's still in beta, I suppose. Cast something? Oh my god, look at that! Listening to me actually works! Why don't people listen to me more in this game? Like, I don't even have to be playing the game when people don't listen to me. Just, if I tell you to dump to your Remnant to fix it, just do it, guys, come on.
Yep, okay. So Ember Spirit has been freed from his top lane prison and is currently sitting on about 6,000 gold, going to pick up another Demon Edge, presumably for another Daedalus. And right now, DBG is pretty much at peak Ember Spirit potential, although you could get a BKB, Boots of Travel. It pretty much doesn't get better than this.
Yeah, this guy's going to be absolutely dishing, and BKB on Razor not really going to be doing that much to help out, and help. None of these items are really going to be helping out that much. Maybe the Ember Spirit actually goes for an MKB here, going up against both a Wind Ranger and a Butterfly Viper. I don't really know if you want to be doing that or if you just want to go for the explosive damage, but either way, the Ember Spirit is going to be trucking. And if you look at Skitsego, he also is not doing too terribly for himself. Has quite a lot of net worth, but the net worth that he does have can be transitioned into a little bit more with the Mjolnir upgrade, with the Mask of Madness replacement down the line, and Ring of Aquila to sell out for something else later down the line. This Faceless Void is a long way from being 6-slotted, and he's still pumping out a little bit of damage regardless.
Definitely so. The smoke coming out from TBG as they look to find somebody out in the enemy jungle. It is all 5 of them, but it's also not that suspicious since they do still have jungle to farm up for themselves, so maybe they actually are able to catch somebody out, but for now, it looks like they're not going to bump into anybody, and Ogre should be able to TP out if he wants to. Right now, he's just going to be placed very defensively, and TBG aren't going to find anything with this smoke because it does expire.
Well, they got 1 kill off of the previous smoke. I guess they can't really expect every single smoke to work out. They will not be spotted at all. There is a random Radiant Observe Ward in the neutrals, I guess, to get vision of the Roshan pit. That clearly didn't work out. So TBG, I think that at this point, NLBA know where TBG are, but do they really want to just go for a straight tier 3 push? That seems incredibly risky at this stage in the game.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, you do have an Aegis on your Wind Ranger, but it's up against Chronosphere. It really feels like there's not a clean opportunity. But then again, when is it going to get better for TBG? What item or what scenario is going to really help them get a better push going? I think it really has to rely on them getting pickoffs, and since the smoke already failed, maybe you just go for it. I think you probably should play a little bit more defensively, but I don't know, let's see how it works out.
All right, so they're just going to go for that high ground push. They have the cheese, they have the Aegis. They are pretty powerful because of those items, so I don't know if it's going to get much better, but still you kind of need to pick off if you're going to be doing this, or they can just shove the lane and then back off as a team, accomplishing pretty much nothing in the process.
Well, yeah, it looks like that's going to be about it. TBG have completely pulled out, and NLBA are, although forced to do something and move their heroes down towards this bottom lane, it really feels like it's just an awkward standoff that really doesn't accomplish much either way. I think it's pretty much just up to NLBA to either find a smoke pickoff or wait out the Aegis for the Wind Ranger, which is still going to be up for about another minute or so, minute and a half. Yeah, let's see where this pickoff goes. The Wind Ranger and the Lion are close, but it looks like they're not going to go into the same direction. The Dire team are a little bit defensively positioned. NLBA are going to try barreling down the mid lane.
Well, they see the Viper, but the Viper also just grabbed the haste rune. They're going to run an intercept, though. If they get a stun here, they will be able to get the kill. Blink, Hoof Stomp, not going to connect. They have a swap plus a Chronosphere. It looks like they don't want to use that Chronosphere. That's some serious restraint coming out from Skitsego. I'm pretty sure Chronosphere would have led to a kill, but they're not going to take their chances there. Viper gets to live.
Yeah, that's going to be about it. Right now, it's smokes from either side that really haven't accomplished much. They are going to ping out the Wind Ranger and the Lion. This deep ward is actually starting to pay off, even though it is very peculiar. Maybe that's exactly what they need. Force F away. Going to keep the Wind Ranger safe from Host Stomp coming out from the Centaur, and, well, that's it. There actually just hasn't been anything happening for the last couple minutes.
It's like a really bad game of whack-a-mole. No one wins. The moles don't win. The guy with the hammer doesn't win. They just all go home. And it looks like that's just going to be what happens. Travels now in the Wind Ranger, and she's actually very close to being 6-slotted herself. You eventually want to sell that Yule Scepter, upgrade the Maelstrom, and, of course, fill that Aegis slot. But this Wind Ranger probably should go for some sort of damage item. Then she's going to be at her peak.
When would there be a whack-a-mole game that the moles don't win and the person doesn't win? Are all the moles just in neutral
It's a
position the whole
metaphor,
time?
dude. I don't know. I'm not making these games. I'm not a game designer.
Fair enough.
It's one where there's no hammer, okay?
There we go.
There we go.
Metaphor
I balanced
complete.
it. Okay, well, we're going to be watching the Centaur lead the chase. Vengeful Spirit looking for a swap back. They did see the Viper, now they double see him. Swap back, gonna pop that BKB. Lots of damage will flow regardless though. He's gonna turn and fight DVG. He's actually putting up a decent fight. Jump forward for Chronosphere onto Boca, off to the sidelines. They will turn off, kill off this Wind Ranger. At the same time, Viper being locked down purely by the Ogre Magi's stun duration right now. Yurgi, though, left behind by the rest of his team, will be the even trade right now as McCoy is going to try to kill off the cross, but Cheese is there. Despite the fact that he got like 15 multicasts on this Viper, he still will not get the job done, and everyone else from the next level badasses will fall back. their Faceless Void and their Ember Spirit not quite doing enough damage right there.
A really, really awkward engagement coming out from NLBA. It opens up with a swap onto the Viper, but then Centaur blinks in for a hoof stomp where the Viper was once standing. Then the Faceless Void goes off on the sidelines for a Chronosphere. Anything but a clean engage by them, and it seems that they're able to be picked off by TBG and just a little bit more focus power coming out from them. And they still hold on to a Finger of Death coming out from the line, and TBG find themselves with an opportunity to actually open up with a push.
Well, Ember Spirit does have decent counter push just with that spammable Sleight of Fist, and as long as he doesn't get Blink Hexed, he will be able to continuously spam out this very, very high amounts of damage. Chronosphere is not going to be up for quite a long time, and there's only Centaur with a buyback, so TBG have a chance right now at killing off this tower and a set of Raxes, but this Ember Spirit chip damage is the real deal. Boca going to jump forward, looking for a Shackle, will not land. In fact, he's now in a lot of trouble. Magic Missile is there. Boca taking tower aggro as well. He will save himself with the Yule Scepter as Cross gets a little bit too close to the Faceless Void. He gets brought down in a hurry, plus swap back, going to kill off the Wind Ranger. Quilly is going to get caught by DVG. One more Sleight of Fist. No, it's actually going to be Diamond take the crits. That's going to be a one-hit kill there. Looking for the Sleight of Fist on Quilly, will barely miss. And it looks like the Razor will survive to get out and fight another day. But the Wind Ranger, after having bought back for the past fight, is now dead again. And TBG, if they want to defend this crackback, they have to buy back with their Viper, and even then, it's not a guaranteed defense.
No, and Ember Spirit is sitting on enough gold to pick up his next item and probably still have buyback, unless that next item is the Divine Rapier. Looks like it's just going to be another straight Daedalus for him, finally, finishing off that Damage Edge item. Viper going to buy back, but this is up against the full 5-man lineup coming out from NLBA, and they're all knocking on their front door. Going to clear up the creep wave with one Sleight of Fist and auto attack, and now the focus is the melee bearer.
And the swap back onto Bella, annihilated in the blink of an eye. Jump forward, since he's going to land a 2-man Chronosphere. Quilly off to the side, can't even be hit by DVG. They're going to instead change their focus to the Razor. I think that's the right decision, then go for that Viper. Nice jump forward from Bella, going to land a 4-man Impale, saving that Viper's life. But will it save their base? I don't think that's going to be the case. The tier 4s are going to be destroyed, actually. They're going to go straight for the jugular right now. I think they do have enough to do it. Ice Blast is going to kill off the bench. No, it will miss. That looked like it was going to hit, but it hit onto everyone else. So the chilling effect it did, at least. Fortification is there, but one tier 4 tower has already dropped. Viper going to get chained to the floor, has Ancient Apparition back up. Force Staff for a stomp, though, and Viper suddenly in a lot of trouble. Finger Death, though, will kill off the Ember Spirit. He doesn't want to buy back for this one. It will be the Viper to follow regardless, though. So Gago will get 2 kills now with a double. Going for Diamond will make it a triple, as everyone from TBG are now dead, and they do not have a single buyback. This should be GG.
It's going to be the Ancient Folly, and looks like NLBA have tied up the series 1-1, and a much closer game than the first one that we saw, and, well, I was really scared for them coming out of the draft, but they just make it work. It seems that they just need something a little bit more comfortable for them. Yurgity... okay, that was awkward. Smoke was popped, and that stopped everybody from attacking, but in the end, the Ancient is going to explode, but... yeah, I don't know. Played really well. It's going to be 1-1, as Next Level Badass is showing that they definitely do have some fight in them.
Well, this is just a best of 2, unfortunately. This is kind of where you would want to see a best of 3, just because, I mean, first of all, they got stomped and then they returned the favor with a victory, but that's it. We're just awkwardly going to be unsatisfied with a tie, as most JDL games are ties. That's just kind of how it happens.
Definitely so. Well, if you like the casting you see here, you can follow us on HeflaTV at Twitter, Facebook, and here on Twitch. And the VODs we upload to youtube.com/HeflaMoke. I've been Grandis V, and he's been Mike Loris, and we should be back and sometime in the future, but at least for now, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you soon.